Make yourselves sheep, and the wolves will eat you. Benjamin Franklin knew what he was talking about. Well, just look around. We're being devoured. The founders, the old revolutionaries, they warned us about the most dangerous enemies of liberty that we'd face. And today we're literally surrounded by them, which means we didn't listen. Let's identify exactly who they are. On this episode, 8 types of enemies destroying America from within. But first of all, before getting to that, welcome, and thank you for joining me here on the Path to Liberty. My name is Michael Boldin with the 10th Amendment Center, and this is the show for Friday, June 27th, 2025. Our first enemy, well, that's the fearmonger. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Every crisis, every threat, real or pretended, they're right there telling you to give up your rights. They're telling you that the Constitution is outdated and it needs to be ignored, for your own good, of course. John Adams called this out all the way back in 1776, and he said that fear is the foundation of most governments. Now, if you know me, I just want to remove one word, most, but he was pretty spot on with that. And James Madison, in the run-up to the passage of the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798, he reminded us of a brutal truth. These people love using fear of danger, of foreign danger. And if they can't find a real thing to be afraid of, they'll just make it up in order to keep the people in fear. Here he is in a letter to Thomas Jefferson. Perhaps it is a universal truth that the loss of liberty at home is to be charged to provisions against danger, real or pretended, from abroad. That brings us to our second enemy, the partisan hack. You know these people. They're all over the place. They may be for or against the fear, strong or weak, just depending on who's doing it, who's talking about it. They'll defend anybody or anything, the devil himself, as long as he had the right letter next to his name. Noah Webster saw right through this, and he called these people out for just how dangerous they are. He said nothing is more dangerous to the cause of truth and liberty than a party spirit. And by that he means those people who put party or individual first, not individual rights, but individual leaders, teams first, over liberty, over truth, over the Constitution, over anything. These people, to Noah Webster, are the most dangerous. But it was President George Washington who told us exactly where this leads, how it plays out in practice. You get this party revenge, this back and forth fighting for control of the entire system. And it's even worse the more centralized the power it is. And eventually, people get so sick of it that they literally beg for a strong man to come in and put it to an end. Now, check out what he had to say in his farewell address in 1796, and tell me it doesn't sound low-key prophetic, at least. He said, the alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, is itself a frightful despotism. But wait, there's more, because it gets much, much worse. He said, but this leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. The disorders and miseries which result gradually incline the minds of men to seek security and repose in the absolute power of an individual. And sooner or later, the chief of some prevailing faction, more able or more fortunate than his competitors, turns this disposition to the purposes of his own elevation on the ruins of public liberty. Now, of course, the precedent, the partisan nature, the fighting back and forth, the fear-mongering, all of this stuff, you get a lot of people who are our next enemy, the number 3, the vile and the corrupt. Whatever the issue, whether it's fear or partisanship or anywhere in between, you get a group of people who claim that it's okay because it's been done before. If you make a case that something is unconstitutional and the executive or Congress or the judicial branch can't do it, they'll just say, well, look, this is how it's been done for the last 30 years or 70 years. Doesn't matter how long something wrong has been done, the longer that the wrong is done does not turn it into a right. And Thomas Paine had their number. He said, government by precedent, without any regard to the principle of the precedent, is one of the vilest systems that can be set up. We should be repulsed by the people who say something's okay because it's been done before. That's literally an argument for legalizing murder. It's insane to have that approach. It's disgusting. It's so anti-American. It should never be accepted, but unfortunately, it's all over the place. Now, these people, they don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about you. They don't care about what's right and wrong. They don't care about liberty. Power is the only thing they care about, and power used to do what they want to do, whether they're allowed to do it or not. The founders considered this total moral corruption. And Samuel Adams here nailed it. This is from a letter to James Warren, actually. Joseph, I think, was not with us anymore at that point. He said, while the people are virtuous, they cannot be subdued. But when once they lose their virtue, they will be ready to surrender their liberties to the first external or internal invader. Next up, enemy number 4 is the chump. The ones who fall for this stuff over and over and over. Maybe they don't actually know right from wrong, and they are just kind of stumbling along like a fool. And John Jay saw this kind of thing play out all through history. John Jay was the first Chief Justice, and he said, the knaves and fools of this world are forever in alliance. And here's what we should really, really despise. Again, we should be repulsed by this thing. These fools getting played, they tend to attack the good guys. The one person standing up and saying, no, we don't need more debt. We don't need more government control. They will attack the one good person and then love all the bad guys. That's how Thomas Gordon put it almost 300 years ago. He said, in most countries, they who blind and enslave the people are popular and reverenced. They who would enlighten and free them, hated and persecuted. Sometimes these people know exactly what they're doing. Those are the knaves. They're the ones who are totally corrupt. Now, sometimes they don't, and they're just ignorant. Either way, you end up with the same result, and that's enemy number 5, the ignorant. Benjamin Rush connected the dots. He said, freedom can only exist in the society of knowledge. Without learning, men are incapable of knowing their rights. Now, people in power, they absolutely love ignorance. It helps them get away with exercising power they should never have and then stealing more and more of it over time. Samuel Adams knew the game firsthand. He said, it is in the interest of tyrants to reduce the people to ignorance and vice. And he explained why. He said, for they cannot live in any country where virtue and knowledge prevail. Now, of course, the ignorant could learn. They could go out there and change things around real quickly, but that takes a lot of work. And that is enemy number 6, the lazy. Abigail Adams understood the real truth when it comes to basically solving the problem of ignorance. She said, learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence. But dealing with the lazy isn't just about getting educated. It's about doing the hard work that's required to protect liberty. And it's required to protect liberty all throughout history. It's almost as if these people want freedom like they want a pizza delivered to their door, no effort whatsoever. Press a button and you're done. Thomas Paine had some bad news for them. He said, those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigues of supporting it. Remember Benjamin Franklin's warning at the beginning of the show? Make yourselves sheep and the wolves will eat you. Well, guess what? There is no better way to get that job done than to be enemy number 7, the disarmed. And Noah Webster warned that this is an essential step, if not an early or first step, that leads to total tyranny. He said, before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed. So disarmament powers tyranny. So the opposite is true as well. Armament prevents it. And that's how Federal Farmer put it. I believe this is essay number 18. To preserve liberty, it is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms and be taught alike, especially when young, how to use them. And that brings me to enemy number 8, the worst of them all, the coward. Thomas Jefferson understood that there are some people who literally prefer tyranny to the work that's required to have liberty. He said, timid men who prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous sea of liberty. And Thomas Paine called out what might be the worst part of this. Tyrants don't have power like inherently. It has to be given to them or allowed to them. He said the strength and powers of despotism consist wholly in the fear of resistance. And cowardice, it spreads over the people like a cancer, and it gets faster and faster and faster. And James Otis Jr. saw this widespread mentality as the greatest threat to liberty. Nothing will destroy liberty more than this. He said there is nothing that will destroy liberty more than a prevailing opinion that it is better tamely to submit than nobly assert and vindicate our privileges. That was James Otis writing, and I just wanted to mention this. As free-born American in 1767, what a great pen name that he used. He had a few, but that's one of my favorites. And Samuel Adams, the father of the American Revolution, he certainly understood when you submit, when you stay quiet, you're not just harming yourself, it's much, much worse. He said, let us remember that if we suffer tamely a lawless attack upon our liberty, we encourage it and involve others in our doom. And he continued, he said, it is a very serious consideration, which should deeply impress our minds, that millions yet unborn may be miserable sharers in the event. So tamely submitting, tamely suffering a lawless attack upon our liberty not only harms ourselves, it not only harms our neighbors, our friends, our family, but possibly generations to come. That, to Samuel Adams, to the old revolutionaries, is total moral corruption and must be rejected at every turn possible. There's your 8 enemies, from fearmongers to the lazy, from the ignorant to cowards, and many more in between. They are destroying the Constitution, they're destroying liberty, they're destroying what America is supposed to be from within. And if you're honest about this, really deeply honest, you've been at least one of these. I know I've been probably, okay, let's be honest, I've probably been all of them, and I've got a long way to go on all of them myself. The founders really warned us about ourselves, and we've truly become what they opposed. It's time to own it and change it, or liberty dies with us. Unfortunately, though, because the government-run and government-approved so-called education system never teaches anyone about any of this stuff, we've got an uphill battle. But that doesn't mean we have to stop. Duty is ours. And that's a big part of the reason why we work so hard every single day, day in and day out, month in and month out. And as of yesterday, we just commemorated our 19-year anniversary. I registered the domain name 10thamendmentcenter.com on June 26th, 2006. Year in and year out for 19 years. We have been working really hard to reach and teach more and more people about these essential principles from the founders, from the old revolutionaries, and from the great writers and thinkers that they read and learned from. And if you want to help us commemorate our 19 years and kick off the next 19 to expand this work, nothing helps us do it more than the financial faith and support of our members. If you got a couple of bucks of that quickly devaluing dirty government fiat, please consider throwing it our way. Our membership program starts out at just $2 a month over at 10thamendmentcenter.com/members. It's all spelled out. We also have annual, 5-year, and lifetime options. Again, 10thamendmentcenter.com/members. Now, if you don't want to become a member but still want to help us out, that's all. Whatever works for you works for me. I'd be very grateful for any consideration you can give to supporting us today. You can also make a one-time contribution over at 10thamendmentcenter.com/donate. Our address is over there, so in case you want to send us something by mail, you can do that. Goldbacks work. Those are awesome. Real money is awesome as well. So again, 10thamendmentcenter.com/donate. More than anything, I'm grateful for any consideration you give to supporting us. You can also do a number of free and easy peasy things like hitting the like button, reviews on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platform, comments help out a great deal, subscribe, get notifications. All these various things help trigger the algorithm of the platforms you may watch or listen on. A biggie on the video platforms is watch time percentage. So if it's a 20-minute video and you watch 20 minutes, that's 100%. Less than that is not as good. 40 minutes, if my government-run school math is all right, is like 200%. So the more you watch, the better. And I'm very grateful for your help in spreading the word. I'm very grateful for you spending some of your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was interesting. I hope it was fun to watch or listen to. But more important than anything, I hope it made you think deeply, and I hope you learned something. That's really what we're trying to get done here, to educate more people so we can take more action in support of the Constitution and liberty. Quick note, I'm not going to have any shows next week, so I'm going to be off catching up on some house cleaning stuff for work and also some house cleaning at the house. And then I'll be back to my regular schedule after Independence Day. I hope you have a wonderful holiday with your family, with your friends, with yourself, however it works out for you. Again, thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today, and I'll see you next time here on the Path to Liberty.